Bar for Bar EP reviews, A Room Full of Mirrors, Moneybags. Moneybags is a debut audio and visual EP from the collective known as A Room Full of Mirrors, which is comprised of Earlee Riser, Nick Grant, Billymaree, Daylyt, Lyric Michelle, Ichibon Don, Hari, Jrias Law and Punch. The group first released music earlier this year with the tracks Mirrors and Rawr, both of which are great displays of everyone's lyrical abilities, where they all trade bars effortlessly in a manner most similar to a cipher, I feel. This cipher style is something that really grabbed my attention, and I feel is a great way to introduce new listeners to artists, because prior to Mirrors, I was really only familiar with Daylyt, Punch, and Ichibon Don. The idea of a room full of mirrors is just that. You are in a room full of mirrors, forced to look at your reflection and see all the good and the bad. When you take this idea and apply it to a group of people, you can start to realize that these people, everyone else around you, have, they reflect some of the things about you. Whether these things are good or bad, that's for each individual to decide. But I think in general, when it's, at least with this group and this rap group specifically, it's a good thing. Because when you see these things within other people, you can bring it out of them because they may not know about it right away. And by doing so, you can help them be a better person, make better music. Like there's so many possibilities with that. And on top of that, you could also learn more about yourself because you start to notice these things that other people are doing. And then you're like, oh shoot, no, like I do that too. Now I mentioned this is both an audio and visual EP. The visual side of this only has 3 of the 8 tracks, Nobody Dies, Whoa, and West Side, but it feels appropriate. We also did get videos for Mirrors and Rawr, but I think those were definitely done separately. But I think those may have been done way earlier on before the idea of Moneybags came about. But I still do think that this visual EP, at least the idea for it, may have come up pretty early on also. Now, I only say that because the tracks that are put to it fit it very well, and also it just kind of flows well also. The visual EP itself kind of follows like a GTA heist, like where we're just seeing the in-between bits, I guess, where you're going to pick everyone up, get them to the spot, debrief them, and then ride out afterwards. Like, you're just kind of hitting those main points. I think that was intentional. Maybe they just wanted to keep it within like the runtime of the actual EP, but I would not be opposed to seeing an expanded version of this because, I think they got something there. And given everyone in this group, they're all very talented. It'd probably be pretty good. Going into the audio side of it, which is where I spend most of my time, the way this project begins is kind of interesting. And I only say that because given the 2 tracks that we had gotten earlier in the year, I was maybe expecting something else. So when Moneybags comes on, like the beat, cool. Like I'm totally for it. And I was kind of expecting, another sort of crew cut. But we only get 2 verses, which I guess for a group EP may have been a bit weird. But it still works, and it does well to kind of, I guess, introduce the idea of Moneybags. And honestly, I'm surprised it wasn't on the visual EP, or at least like to kick things off, because it literally tells you what they're going for. They're Moneybags. Now, Moneybags itself wasn't that, I guess, off-putting. It was still close enough in sound to the rest of the EP, but then we have Whoa following it right after, and it has just more like a higher energy to it. And the higher energy isn't a bad thing. It's just, in the flow of the project, it seemed a little out of place. But after listening to it a bunch of times, it all flows really well. It's really just the initial reaction I had. The track itself, Whoa, I do like because it is closer to or more of a crew cut. And we have we have a very interesting triplet flow from Daylyt, which I wasn't expecting at all, but I'm totally here for. And then Billymaree ends the track with a really dope verse, and then the beat cuts, and then comes back in for whoa, like that I felt like was done really well, and I enjoyed it a lot. Going into the rest of the album or project, Nobody Dies is next, and it fits really well, especially with the visual EP, because, essentially at this point, at least in the visual, it's, the start of their heist or their robbery, and, everyone's just kind of gearing up, everyone's getting ready. Personally, I feel like if it was put in when they're all at the table, like talking or like prepping there, it may have made a little bit more sense, because then they're like, there's a little bit more stress, but it still fit really well where it was. Like, basically just saying nobody's dying. Like, that's the goal. Then we get into West Side, and honestly, everything from Nobody Dies all the way to the end of the album, I love. It's just the first two tracks, for whatever reason, throw me off. But like I said, it still flows really well as you listen to it back to back. But West Side, it's super chill. I love it. It's great for riding around. The chorus is dope. I think that's Billymaree on the chorus. I could be wrong, but I love it. It starts out with a really solid intro, just shouting out multiple West Coast MCs. And then Daylyt comes in talking about his history with the West Side. It's really, really smooth and solid track. Then we have Rar, which I did do a breakdown for back when it came out, but I still love this track. Like, the beat is really smooth. It fits everyone really well. I really like the idea of the palindrome or the reflection aspect here. Like, they're really leaning into the A Room Full of Mirrors thing. But you have Raw and War. And I think that's an Ab-Soul track, like Raw backwards. It's just cool. Like, you have Raw and you have War. Like, all these MCs are Raw. And if, like, this is almost the start of a war. Like, they're going to kick things off. Or if you come step into any of them, it's War. I just like that. Then we have Mirrors, which was the first official track. And it's very solid. It's just, honestly, I'm kind of surprised it's on here. Only because it felt like it was released so long ago. But also, it really feels like an introduction track to this group. Like, I don't know how else to explain it, I guess, but it still sounds dope all these months later, which is a good sign. We then get Live in the Moment, which has a similar vibe to West Side, where it's just super chill, and it's basically just saying, live in the moment. Like, they go through some stories about how things could have cut life short and some of the decisions that they made, or like just based on things around them. But I mean, the gist of it is really just live in the moment, enjoy life. Like, don't do anything that'll end your life too soon, but also, take some sort of risks. This then goes into the outro track, Arfum, or A Room Full of Mirrors. It's dope. It is a dope outro. And honestly, I could have seen this as an intro as well, because, I mean, it references A Room Full of Mirrors directly, and like, it's literally the title of the track, and how they're all reflections of each other. But it's also just one of those posse cuts that's just like, look how dope we are. Similar in fashion to Rar and Mirrors. Like, but it's still different enough where it's not like they're coming in between verses. Like, it all just flows really well. And then you have Ichibon Don in there. Like, that's something that Punch mentioned in, I think, a Billboard interview, where he's just saying that Ichibon Don is really just a producer, in the sense that he'll find pockets to put himself in the track and make him part of the song, rather than like a specific verse or like the main focus. Like, he becomes part of the instrumental almost. So it fits it really well. Another thing just with this project in general is Lyric Michelle has a great rapping voice. And I wish she was on more tracks, but I'm very pleased with what we got. And honestly, just everyone here has their own voice. Everyone sounds unique. It's not like we're getting an album full of everyone sounding the same, which, I mean, it does happen every so often. But in this case, everyone was unique. Everyone has their own voice. Everyone fits. So that was dope to see. But yeah, everyone brings in something unique to this project. And it's really just been one of those projects that I keep putting on because it's just dope. It's really easy to listen to. But then, like, easy to listen to from a production standpoint. Like, the beats are super chill and like, you can just kind of ride around to. But you can also take a step back and really focus on the lyrics if you really wanted to as well. So it's not like one or the other, which also is something that's not very easy to do. This is normally where I would list my 5 favorite tracks, but given it's only 8 tracks, I'll just list off just a couple of them, being Arfum, West Side, and I guess both Raw and Mirrors. But you know, each one of these tracks really sticks out on their own too. With all that said, I am looking forward to whatever A Room Full of Mirrors has in store for us next. I mean, they've basically done videos for 6 of the 8 tracks, so if we get a video for Live in the Moment and Moneybags, that'd be cool. But yeah, I am curious to see where they go next. Seeing as this is an EP, I imagine they'd want to do an album in the future. But what sort of focus would that album have? I'm not sure. Because with Moneybags, I think they realized that they didn't want to have just a collection of songs where everyone's just rapping their asses off. Like, they wanted to have some sort of visual aspect to it so that everything made a bit more sense, and which it did. But if you go for a full-length album, which I guess in this case probably be like 10 to 12 songs, because this one was 8 and it ran like 30-something minutes. I don't know how you would modify anything to make it, I guess, okay to be a little bit longer. I mean, alternatively, you could also just do EPs, which is totally fine as well. But yeah, I don't know what we can expect from them in the future. I imagine they would all continue working together, and I mean, we'll get another A Room Full of Mirrors project at some point, but I think they'd probably go more focusing on their solo stuff. But maybe just get a couple features from other members, stay under the whole A Room Full of Mirrors umbrella. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. With all that said, that's, I think, all I got for this review. I think I've rambled enough. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this EP and what your favorite tracks are and what you want to see in the future. And also how you felt about that visual EP, because I enjoyed it. Also, remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more reviews and content like this. Thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.